Good evening, everyone. It's Liz. Now, you may know me from my TikTok from the same username as my YouTube, or you're someone that has been around this channel for a while. Now, I've actually had this channel for a few years now, and I've not known what I wanted to do with it. I've just kind of been posting random things here and there, but I think I now know what I want to do. So I've kind of figured that this will be pretty much an extension of what I post on TikTok. So pretty much just cosplay stuff if I have the time, anime content, reactions, and what I'm going to be doing today, which is Seraph of the End manga analysis. Now, I've been thinking about doing this for a while because I felt that my little 3-minute reactions on TikTok haven't really been truly conveying my thoughts on the matter. I mean, I can't really do that in short 3-minute videos, so they're more focused on just kind of my initial reaction and just kind of throwing some comedy in there, even though I'm not really funny. But I also want to kind of post these longer videos to give my more serious thoughts on the matter. So I'm going to start with pretty much my thoughts on the more recent chapters. I would go with, all the chapters of the manga that are kind of separate from the anime, but that's 70 chapters, and I can't do that to myself. So we're just going to kind of do the more recent chapters. I'm going to kind of give a summary on what's been going on recently, plus my thoughts, and I'm going to give kind of like predictions of what I think is going to happen, plus my thoughts on just kind of the overarching story. Without further ado, let's get started. So, in the more recent chapters, Mika died. Yes, I am still mad about that. So, Mika died and became a demon. And you, our precious cinnamon angel, has been trying to save him. Meanwhile, on one end, we have the progenitors. So, Leskar, Erdgales, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, Kai Luck, Saito. We have them all gathered up trying to figure out what the hell's going on. And then on the other end, we have Gurren and Mahiru, who I don't trust. I still don't trust them, along with Cruel, Farid, Crowley, the Shinwa squad, all them. We've got them there also trying to figure out what the hell's going on. Though I believe that Gurren and Mahiru and Kroll, they very much know what the hell's going on. So meanwhile, in the inner world, we have you trying to get to Demon Mika and make him his demon. But of course, it's not going to be smooth sailing, because as we've learned, the black demons, so Ashuramaru, Kasekio, Gekkoin, that crew, they're actually working for Shikama Doji, and they've been instructed to make this as hard as possible, to not let you get to the king, as they call him. So you has to get through them, and he is pissed about that, which, good job, you. Good job. And in which he discovers that they are working against them. And he warns Yoichi and Kamizuki about their demons. So Kamizuki and Yoichi, shut off their desire. They shut off their demon's power. So Yu is able to overpower them and get to Demon Mika. Meanwhile, Shinwa and Mahiru are trying to suppress Shikama, keep him asleep so he can't, fuck everything up, is the best way I can put that. In which they don't really succeed because Shikama ends up waking up anyways, which at the time made me really, really angry. And he goes and he leaves Shinoa's mindscape and enters Mika and Yu's mindscape through a vision of Mika when he dives into Yu's heart to kind of figure out what's going on, who he is, all that. And in that, we see ancient Greece, I believe. And, we see lots of the mini Yu clones. We see Ashuramaru before he was a demon. We see, I think, Mikaila's original body. And there, Mika is trying to figure out what's going on. But Shikama enters and he sees him. So he's able to enter the mindscape with Mika and Yu. Thankfully, he's unable to do anything because Mika and Yu manage to complete the contract and Mika becomes Yu's demon. And he ages up and he gets a major glow up let me tell you, he gets a major glow up, and I'm glad they made him older again, because my Mika U heart could not stand it if he stayed a little kid forever and they didn't have a chance to, be together. Like, they are a hair's breadth away from canon, and it would be really weird if he just kind of stayed a tiny, adorable child. Anyways, I'm getting off track. So, Mika and you are reunited. Mika gets some of the memories back. It's later explained that Mika's memories are very spotty and jumbled. He has both his own memories and Yu's memories, but they are so jumbled together that he can't quite place which memories are his and which memories are Yu's. And I do think that he doesn't have all of them yet. I think that Yu, whether intentionally or not, is blocking out some of the memories, such as when Gurren killed Mika, because I feel like that would have been addressed if Mika remembered it. Anyways, Mika and you are able to kind of get their things figured out, but Shikama Doji is there, having been held off by Yoichi and Kamizuki while they did their thing. And now Yu and Mika have joined the fray. They have started to fight back against Shikama Doji, and they managed to kind of beat the shit out of him. But this is where we learn something interesting. He says that they should not merge any further because they'll notice. They being the other Seraphs. And of course, they do descend upon that realm. And they start targeting Shikama Doji, saying something along the lines of that they have found the fallen angel that has revived the cursed child. The cursed child, I believe, being Mikaela. We'll get back to that. So they are attacking Shikama Doji, and in a hurry, he calls for Saito and Erd, his sons, to save him. And they do. They drag him away. Mika and you try to stop him, but they can't. It's too late. So he gets dragged back to where Saito and Erd are, and they chain him up and demand for answers, which we still don't have yet, and I'm mad about that. But it doesn't matter. Mika and you are able to be away from him. They are safe for the time being. However, Gurren has other plans. They are going to head to Farid's Manor to do something with the grand plan of bullshit, as everyone's been calling it. Now, Mika, despite not having all of his memories, is hell suspicious of Farid, Cruel, Gurren, and Mahiru, which he should be. He starts investigating his past memories, Yu's past memories, and, figure out what's going on. And he kind of manages to figure out what we have figured out, that they're all working together and that they are going to have some sort of grand plan that will be using them in some way, shape, or form. Now, he manages to warn you about this. They're in the truck. They're on their way to Farid's Manor. And Mika manages to get Yu's attention, and he's like, hey, please use your head for once. These guys have been in cahoots for who knows how long, and they've got something that they are planning that involves us, and they are planning on using us, and it could be dangerous, so we need to find out what's going on. We need to get answers. And for once, Yu actually listens to Mika. I think that Yu is actually listening to him because of what happened before. Because before, in previous chapters, we saw he didn't really listen to Mika. He kind of disregarded him. Whenever Mika would bring up his concerns about Gurren or the other humans using him, Yu would kind of disregard him. Now, I don't think this was Yu being stupid. We've seen that Yu has extremely low self-esteem. He finds himself worthless. He says in chapter 108, I believe, he says, and I quote, I cannot love myself. I need others to do it for me. So he is kind of latched onto Gurren and other people that show him some speck of affection, and he doesn't want to lose that. So he's been kind of disregarding what Mika says out of desperation to be able to kind of keep the person that saved his life. But as we see later, that proved to be a fatal mistake, and Mika dies because you didn't listen to him. And I think Yu learned from that mistake. He has taken that knowledge, and now he's actually listening to Mika so that something like that doesn't happen again. So he confronts Gurren about it. He starts off by saying, I'm grateful for you and all, you saved my life. I would have offed myself if you hadn't been there and hadn't saved me, which I just realized Shino and the squad didn't know that. They didn't know that you was that messed up mentally. I feel bad for them. But, you kind of softens him up, starts off by saying, these positive things like, I trust you, I like you, you saved my life, so I'm grateful for you. But then he moves on to the questions. He says, do you like me? Gurren says yes. Are you using me? Gurren says yes again. But then he asks a really important question. He says, were you working with Farid on the night that my family was murdered? Gurren doesn't answer directly like he did with the others. Yu has been demanding direct answers. Gurren doesn't give it this time. And that upsets Yu. He says, Mika, we're going to destroy this truck, like he threatened to do earlier. Yu is a very sort of black and white character. He deals in absolutes. And he doesn't like when Gurren isn't giving him an absolute answer. I think on some level he knows the truth, but he wants it to be out in the open, not only for him, but for everyone else to know. He wants it to be a kind of like a final confirmation, and Gurren isn't giving him that. So he attacks him. He has Mika give him power, and he attacks him, in which, Gurren fights back. They are in this battle against each other. And I think part of this, not only is it you getting answers from Gurren, but I think this is also him kind of breaking away from Gurren. Because as we've seen before, Gurren has kept him on a tight leash. Gurren has kept him, under him, kept him being subservient. Yu has been subservient to Gurren this entire time because, he doesn't want to lose that family that he has. But Gurren's been using that against him. Gurren has been using that label of family, using it to keep Yu under control. And while we do see that Gurren on some level does care for Yu, he cares more about his own goals, and he is very much willing to use Yu and use Yu's past traumas, his insecurities, and his utterly low self-esteem against him. And I think Yu has finally had enough. He's had enough of that neglect, of that gaslighting, of that just pure abuse. He has had enough, and he is going to try and beat Gurren as a way to gain his respect. He wants Gurren's respect, which he has not given a shred of through this entire story. He has not given Yu a shred of respect, treating him almost like a pet. I mean, at one point he says that he is Yu's god, that you should be grateful to him, that he owns you. It's a very dehumanizing thing to say. So there's no ounce of respect coming from Gurren. And I think Yu, he wants to break away from that. He wants to be his own person separate from Gurren, and he wants to earn Gurren's respect via beating him in a fight. Whether that will happen, I don't know. My thoughts are, I think it would be good writing if he were to beat Gurren. It would complete a nice arc that we've all been waiting for. We've been waiting for you to finally stand up to Gurren and say enough is enough. And if he were to win this fight, then that would be the start of this arc where Yu becomes his own person, maybe hopefully kind of increasing his own self-esteem. Though I don't see that really happening, but it would be nice if it did. Though I could end up being wrong, and Kagami ends up being a massive troll and has Gurren win. After all, he does have Mahiru. And we can't forget that Cruel and Ferret are nearby, and they could very well interfere with the fight, because this could be, ruining their plans, and they can't have that. Now, what I think the whole grand plan of bullshit, on at least Shikama's end, is to beat God. So we know that Shikama is a fallen angel and that he, one way or another, had a son named Mikaela. And I believe that that was against heaven's rules So they executed Mikaela and banished Shikama from heaven, gave him the curse of being a vampire, because we know he was the first vampire, and exiled him. Shikama obviously is not happy about that. So I think what his plan is to, first create the perfect vessel and then revive his lost son, Mikaela. But, I think he also wants to defeat God, the God that killed his son in the first place. Because we've seen that he's been creating vampire after vampire, and he's been getting more and more like people under his control, kind of building an army of sorts. And he previously mentioned that it's not time for Mika and you to merge yet. So they are supposed to in one way or another. Now, the reason behind this, I'm not sure. But I think that maybe Shikama wants to sort of make his son Mikaela much stronger. I think he wants to revive Mikaela and then give Mikaela the strength to fight back against God. I think he wants to kill God. I think he may even go a step further and want to take over God's position. Despite saying this, I don't think Shikama Doji is fully evil. As much as I hate the dude, I don't think he's fully evil. Now, we have seen that he can be a callous, cold son of a bitch, but I don't think he's like pure evil. I think the big bad in this story is God. I mean, I've seen plenty of other people analyzing this manga, and they have also said that the big bad is God. And I agree with them. I think God is the big bad. We've seen like various characters saying how God is a nasty person, how he is not this loving God. And what we've seen of the Seraphs, this is true. Because whenever the humans break their taboos, they're just wiped out. They're just completely killed. That's God's solution to humans breaking the taboos. So obviously he's not a very nice guy if he's just, going to murder everyone because they broke some rules. And, we've also seen this in the form of what happened to Shikama and Mikaela. Shikama had a son one way or another. God didn't like that. So he killed Shikama's son, banished him, and gave him an eternal curse, which pretty much leaves him a life of eternal suffering. Because as we've seen with the older vampires, they just seem to want to die because they don't really have anything to really live for. Their human emotions are all but gone. They don't really have any desires except for blood. So what is there to really live for? They want to die, but how can they really die? It's really hard for them to die because they are eternally living, eternally not aging anymore. They're immortal beings. So for God to curse someone with like something like that, he can't be a nice guy. So my thoughts are Shikama wants to, defeat God, possibly take his position and get the rest of the Seraphs under his control so that his son Mikaela doesn't die again. And what he plans to do after that, don't know. Have no idea. But I guess we'll have to see and find out. I don't know where Kagami is going with this. If he is going that direction, cool. I figured it out. If he's not, then yeah, I guess I'm wrong. Anywho, those are just my thoughts on what's been going on so far. I hope y'all kind of enjoyed this style of video. Apologies for the low quality. I don't have the money to afford good equipment or anything, so I'm using my laptop camera and microphone, so the quality's kind of shit, and I apologize. If, y'all like this kind of content, then I'll keep making it. I'll continue my usual reactions in the TikTok format because those are fun and those seem to get rather positive reviews. So I'll continue making them, but then I'll also make these longer analysis videos because I want to just, kind of give my thoughts on the matter because I don't have anyone to talk to about this. The only thing I can do is kind of ramble in front of the camera. But hey, that works. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.